Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 243 and we have a good one for you today. Today's fish is one of those fish that I know you have heard about this if you have watched the Discovery Channel in a very specific week of the year. And you probably already get an idea of that this is a shark. Obviously by the title of the video, you know exactly which shark that I'm talking about. So without further ado, today's Fish Friday that we're going to be talking about is, bam, the tiger shark. Now the tiger shark, or scientific name Galiocerdo cuvier, again that's Galiocerdo cuvier, it is part of the family Galeochaeridae. Which is really neat because it is the only species in its family alive today. Now, tiger shark, the tiger shark family has been around since dinosaur time. It is in the fossil record, but in terms of what is around today, this is the only species alive today, and that's for good reason. It is very, very unique in that deal, and we'll get into this. But this is definitely one of those sharks that if you've watched Shark Week on Discovery Channel, you've definitely heard about the tiger shark. And there are going to be people out there that know much more than me. But for those of you who don't know, here's the video. Now, the tiger shark is found in tropical and subtropical waters around the world. So, you know, cape to cape. But what's kind of unique is that they stay in the warmer waters, so they move closer to the equator during colder months. A lot of times when animals or fish are found in tropical and subtropical waters, they actually kind of migrate up to the capes during the colder months, or you know, trying to find like cooler they migrate. Do I have this backwards? I might have this backwards. I'm not sure. I feel like during the winters... No, it's probably more they're going closer to the equator when they're there. I might have had that backwards. Sorry, I have that in my notes, and I'm not sure why, and I believe most fish actually follow that same pattern. That's not unique, but there's plenty more that's unique about this, so don't get me wrong. Now, the tiger shark is primarily found close to coastlines, usually in deeper waters around reefs, and they will chase prey into shallow waters. So this is definitely one of those fish that it wouldn't surprise me that you might encounter it at all depths, because they have been found everywhere from 0 meters to 900 meters or 3,000 feet. Now, they're very often not at 3,000 feet. That is I believe those are just a couple of unique specimens. And I'm not 100% sure on the validity of those depths, but you know, you can definitely find these in the shallowers. But you're primarily going to find them in deeper waters around the reef. So they're kind of hanging out on the edge of drop-offs. Usually coral reefs have the drop-off side going into deeper waters. That's where you're going to primarily find these tiger sharks, at least mature tiger sharks. And I want to say mature tiger sharks because most people don't actually come across mature tiger sharks. They're coming across a tiger shark, they're actually going with finding one of the more of like your teenagers to juveniles to subadults. And that's because the tiger shark is actually one of the largest sharks alive. Adults commonly reach lengths of around 3.5 to 4.7 meters, which is 11.5 to 15.5 feet. Still pretty big. These sharks will weigh anywhere between 300 and 900 kilograms, which is around 700 to 2,000 pounds. The IGFA record is 810 kilograms, which is 1,790 pounds. Very big fish. However, it is very well known that this shark can get bigger. And females are obviously larger than males, just like most sharks, but many of these sharks get so much bigger than we originally thought. There's even some scientific papers out there that accept a tiger shark record of 7.4 meters, which is 24.5 feet, and it weighed 3,110 kilograms, which is 6,860 pounds. Now, the likelihood of that shark being real is, I'm going to say not really that. I'm not going to say that that's actually likely. That could have happened, and it might happen, but I believe that this shark, more than likely, I expect these sharks, if left to their own devices, they're going to sit around that sort of 6 to 7 meters in length, which is still very big. You're talking about 18, 20 feet, somewhere around in there. But getting up to 7.4 meters, that's pretty large. And that's why I'm saying most of the time when you see this, you're finding the younger adults that are moving into the shallows. Quite often, the larger the specimen, the deeper they will stay. And we'll get into why in just a minute. Now, in terms of coloration, they're going to have this grayish back, as you can see here. Oops, sorry about that. They have this grayish back with this white belly. Kind of great whitish coloration. The counter shading, which is pretty unique, but it's definitely not any of the mackerel sharks. It's very thick-bodied with long fins, which is kind of neat. 5 gill slits. And it got its name from its coloration that you can see here. However, the older a tiger shark is, the less coloration it's going to have, which is why, that's why I'm saying that probably not going to find those. And many people may not be able to ID them if they are fully mature and they've lost all of this coloration. Now, it does have a large mouth with pretty unique teeth. Now, the tiger shark has these teeth that have incredibly sharp serrations. And they have this sideways pointing tip right here. Apparently, that is unique to tiger sharks. To have such a sharp tooth with sideways pointing tips that are very broad at the base but very short overall. So you can see here, like, these teeth are not very tall. They're actually very short, but they're very broad. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Obviously, it's about their predatory nature, but that's kind of unique, and there's just so many cool mounts and skeletons of tiger shark gills, and it makes it actually a pretty unique and easy identifier if you are finding shark teeth fossils. Now, so we'll get into the predation a little bit. Obviously, it's going to be the interesting fact, which I thought the interesting fact was going to be their reproduction, because they actually have a pretty unique reproduction. It's why this shark actually, even though people know about it, I don't think people realize how unique these sharks are and why they are truly unique to their family and why they should have their own family, their own species. There's so many unique things, but they are an ovoviviparous shark species, which is not that uncommon. Eggs hatch inside the uterus, so that they do give birth to live young. But from what I found, they're actually unique in that they employ emmetrophy to nourish their young in the womb, in the uterus. And what emmetrophy, and I might have spelled this wrong, it might be embrotrophy, but I think it is. I think it's embrotrophy. What it is essentially after the eggs hatch and they, use all of their yolk sac, the females will actually, the young stay inside the uterus of the female, and the female will actually secrete this milk-like substance from their uterine wall that essentially the young feed on inside the uterus. It allows them to stay in the uterus even longer, and then they grow bigger. And the reason for that is, and a lot of, I would hope people realize that, the larger a wild animal is born, the more likely it is to survive. The smaller you are, the more likely you're going to get eaten. That's just, fact, basically. So this reproduction method is actually so unique, and I really encourage everyone to go do that. But for the interesting fact we're going to end the video on is actually their feeding habits and talking about their teeth. Now, when they're small, they're going to be eating these, small fish, jellyfish, cephalopods, and things like that. That's not that uncommon. But once they get big, they become a true apex predator. And what I mean by that is they are truly an apex predator. They eat everything. Going through the list to list all the stuff that this shark would eat would take forever. These sharks eat other sharks. They eat crustaceans. They eat dolphins. They eat seals. They eat dugongs. They eat rays. They eat other sharks. They eat whales. They eat all this. But then in Hawaii, they're actually known to eat horses. They eat dogs. They'll even eat bats if they can find them. This shark will eat everything that it can possibly find. Dogs, sheep, brown rats. And in fact, here there is one that had an echidna in its belly. It eats anything. And because of that, a lot of people know this shark as the garbage can of the sea. Because since they think they're going to try and eat anything, this is the shark that is known to eat like license plate, oil cans, tires, baseballs. It is kind of a trash can of the sea. But what's super interesting to me is that it's one of the few sharks that actually eat sea turtles. That's kind of a unique thing nowadays. Not a lot of sharks eat sea turtles at the size of these. And sea turtles are actually make up a large portion of tiger shark stomachs. Around 20% of all tiger shark stomachs had sea turtles in them. And that's where their unique teeth and jaws sort of come into play. As far as sharks go, the tiger shark actually has incredibly calcified jaws, meaning their bones are really strong. And with those sideways pointed teeth and all the serrations, there's been a lot of studies that have shown that the tiger shark's teeth is actually better than almost any other shark teeth out there for crushing and cutting through hard objects. To me, this points that it's possible sea turtles play even a larger role in tiger sharks' diet and their evolutionary development. And, maybe this shark actually just flat out evolved to really be specific in eating turtles. An incredibly unique shark, and really mind-boggling when I read through all of the things that have been found in a tiger shark's stomach. It's really, really crazy. Another thing I highly encourage you to go look up. And I knew obviously that this was the trash can of the sea, but I didn't realize the amount and the fact that it's not just an apex predator of an ecosystem. It is an apex predator of the ocean and will eat everything. Just truly, truly a remarkable shark. But thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you do. I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. If you'd like to support the channel, please click the link down below. It is by no means expected, but very much appreciated regardless. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and peace.